This is a review of the Solarforce L2m. It's basically a Chinese-made light, which is a clone of the Surefire 6P. I mainly bought it to use it with P60 style drop-ins, specifically the Malkoff drop-ins like the M61, but they're still pretty hard to get, so I haven't bought one yet. Instead, I just went ahead and got the light with the Solarforce drop-in, and so far it's worked out pretty well. This light works with either two 123A cells, a single 123A cells, or a single 18650 cell. The difference between the L2m and the L2 is that it uses an extension instead of just one solid body tube. So you can just use this with a single cell like here, or you can actually buy extra extensions for, I think, under $10, and you can make this light fit as many cells as you want, up to whatever voltage the drop-in you have. You obviously don't want to go too high in voltage, or you'll just overdrive the light and blow out the LED. As you can see here, this is the post-2009 model, which was tapped for 18650s. The original one was only made for 123A size cells. Of course, since the 18650s are a little thicker, there's a bit of rattle with the 123As. But, I mean, if you have the 18650 in, there really isn't that much rattle, just slightly a bit of space, and once the light is put together, it doesn't really bother. I mean, I guess you could always wrap it with a few layers of paper and it'll just stop the rattling. It originally comes with this crenulated bezel, which, while it's nice, it's not something I would want to keep on the light for everyday carry. Instead, I just bought a flat stainless steel bezel for like $4, and it works out pretty well. Overall, the light in total with shipping was around $40 from sbflashlights.com, and it's pretty bright. I mean, it's using the Cree R2 LED, so here's high, medium, and low. I mean, you can see there that it uses PWM for the medium and low modes, and it's especially noticeable in low. There is also memory. Basically, if you turn it on, let's say to low mode, you turn it off, and you wait a few seconds for it to stop switching modes, it'll remember the last mode you were on, which is one of the big reasons why I also ended up getting the LED drop-in. Originally, I had ordered the 5-mode drop-in, but I was sent the 3-mode drop-in. The only difference between the 5 and 3 mode is that the 5 mode also has an SOS and a beacon mode. I mean, an SOS and a strobe mode, not a beacon mode. And I mean, those generally aren't modes that I would use, but since this light does have memory, it wasn't really an issue. But I mean, I got the 3-mode version anyway, which cost the same amount. I mean, and I didn't really need those modes, so I wasn't that upset about it. This is supposed to be a hard anodized 2 finish on the aluminum, so you can see here that it's gotten some scratches already, and parts of it's chipped off. I mean, in all honesty, hard anodizing is only hard anodizing 3. Any other number really isn't hard anodizing per se, but whatever manufacturers want to say, I guess. It has a protruding tail switch, which is a reverse clicky, basically meaning that you don't have momentary on. If you just have to wait for it to click and it'll turn off, although you do have a momentary off, which has, I guess, some of its own uses. It also allows you to soft click through the modes, so it makes it a little easier. You don't have to constantly be clicking the switch. Yeah, I mean, this drop-in it uses is made for 2 cells, so it's rated at 4.2 to 8.4 volts, which it also works with 1 cell. I mean, if you're going to use a single 123A cell, then you would have to use a rechargeable 123A because they just have higher voltage rating. I mean, generally you have a 3.7 rechargeable like this, 18650. When it comes off the charger, it'll be around 4.2, 4.3 volts. So, I mean, it works with a single cell, although runtime does suffer a lot. I have been using this light with 123As because I have some extra 123As that are pretty past their expiration date, so I decided to use them up. And so far, this is the first set of primaries that I've used in it, and I mean, it's still pretty bright. I'm sure it's not as bright as it was with fresh cells. I've checked on Candle Power forums, and there haven't really been any runtime tests done on these lights because, I mean, I guess they're just too cheap for people to bother because runtime tests do take time. But, I mean, yeah, I mean, you know, it's still pretty bright. My friend has a M60 and M61 as well as, you know, a bunch of other lights, and we went out to the forest when it was dark and compared the throw and the output, and I mainly got this light because I wanted a good amount of throw, like at least throw 50 feet or more, you know, 50 yards ideally, and the throw was comparable to the M61, although the M61 did put out a lot more output. Like you could see, the flood was a lot brighter, but definitely the old knockoff M60 outthrew it because of the, you know, the optics in that light. And I mean, the bad thing about this crenulated bezel is that it's really sharp. The first time I took it off, I actually cut off the top layer of my skin just because of how sharp the edges are, which, you know, really, if you tried to carry it, it would really tear up your pockets. So I'm really glad I got the stainless steel bezel. One thing that kind of annoyed me was that they don't really tell you how to put on this bezel. I mean, you can see that there are these scallops in this edge, so I guess it would be like a stainless steel watch back case where you would just kind of grip onto it and screw it on. I basically just use a pair of needle nose pliers and, you know, very carefully stick it in these scallops and twist it on tight. You don't want to put too much downward pressure in case you slip out of those scallops, and you don't want to scratch up the glass lens. The glass lens isn't great. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of light loss, a lot of output light loss through reflections. You could probably go on Deal Extreme or some other flashlight related website and get another glass lens. But I mean, I cleaned off the fingerprints and stuff from the inside and the outside after I got it, and it's good enough for my purposes. Yeah. So I mean, for $40, it's not a bad buy, you know. A lot of people say that it's real comparable to the Surefire 6P, and I mean, I don't think that's the case. It's a nice light, and for $40, it's not terrible, but just the build quality, the threads, I mean, the anodizing and the switch, it's not comparable to the 6P, and it's just not fair to the Surefire community to say that, oh, you know, this Chinese-made light is just as good. I mean, it's not even on par. It's below the 6P, but it's not a bad light. You know, I really don't believe in bashing cheap Chinese-made lights because it is quality. Like, you know, the flashlight is bright and it's very durable, but it's just not the same quality. I mean, you can see like the knurling is pretty flat and it doesn't really do anything, but you know, A for effort, I guess. I guess that's about it. Thanks for watching this video.